Hey, I'm Briahna Harris, and you're checking out the 3 Count Podcast.
I'm in fashion, heroic passions.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right. And by our 270 something episode, I would hope that you would finally understand and say it with me, I am your Sherpa. Because just like your tribal chief, you should be acknowledging me. But like every good Sherpa, you got to find someone that's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And today, who's entering the ring? Well, she is actually the other half of on himself, Chaz Evans. You guys probably hear her in the background sometimes during our debate shows, but she is the fly one. She is the cool one. She is the married one. She is Briahna Harris.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm sure you've probably heard me or seen me like the Red Dog said.
Yo, one, thank you for coming on our show. We appreciate this. This is gonna be awesome.
Thank you for having me,
Hell yeah. So the reason why we have you on the show, and I think people who listen to our episodes and stuff understand that I talk about this a lot. It's about mental health, right?
Yeah.
But you got this book coming out talking about mental health. So I was like, yo, who else would I have on the show that I would talk to you about this than the one who wrote the book herself? So please tell us more about this book that you got coming out.
Okay, so the title of my book is called You Are Not Alone. And basically each chapter is different lengths, but they're all composed of first part being a journal entry, a personal journal entry of mine. So I got started because I was thinking about, you know how you vent to somebody and they're like, oh, you're not the only one that's gone through this, or I know what you're feeling or whatever, but you don't really believe them, right? So what I've done is put certain journal entries together based on the topic of the chapter so you can see what I'm thinking, feeling, going through my thought processes and whatnot of whatever the situation is about. And then the second part of the chapter is me either talking about how I got through it, how I'm still going through it, if I'm going through it now, and just something encouraging, basically to let people know that they're really not alone in the things they've gone through, thought about, felt.
I think that's an important thing because, not a lot of people talk about that kind of stuff, right? Mental health is still kind of looked down on, and in our society, which I don't know why. Because after this is 2022, have so much more stuff going on in this world, and we shouldn't be afraid of something like mental health, right? So, me being a veteran of the military, I'm all about I got your 6, Mission 22, and then also on the other side, being a wrestler, I'm a part of Tag Me In, which is a huge advocate for mental health and mental healthiness, being mentally aware, and also just understanding who you are, and you're not alone in the situation that you've gone through. Because let's be honest, whether you believe in creation or you believe in evolution, there is no, and I know I'm gonna sound there's no fucking way that you have gone through a problem and you're the first one to ever trailblaze this problem.
Right, exactly.
Out there has been. There's 8 billion people in this world. Someone has been through what you're going through, and you gotta find those people that you can kind of relate to and talk to them. So I like the idea that you're opening yourself up and saying, hey, these are the situations I went through, and this is how I responded. And you may respond differently, but understand that you're not by yourself. Someone's there to help you.
Right, yeah, exactly. And something that I learned along the way in my life is whatever we're going through, we need some form of release, some form of getting it off our chest. And journaling has really been that for me throughout certain points in my life. So because of that, after each chapter, actually, there's going to be a little prompt for people that might need that, but it's going to be a blank page with people to just journal if they feel like it, according to the question, or maybe something they just got on their mind. It's really also a book, but a journal encouraging people to start journaling, see if that helps you, see if that helps your release, because, someone just may not have tried it. They may not have known that that's really what helps them. So there's a journal page after each chapter, but then at the end of the book, number one, there's a list of different tips to apply certain things I talk about, such as how to release, a few practical tips. But then there's I want to say maybe 15 pages of just blank space where people can start their journaling journey if they decide they want to do that.
And I think it's important too that you, like, not everybody's going to respond the same way, like
Yeah.
based on what they're doing. So whether it's journaling, and I love the idea that you said, like, try this out, and if it doesn't help you, there's other avenues to do it. But it's interesting because you say, like, try this out, right? And that it may not be for you, right? Like journaling may not be your thing, but there's other avenues to try, right? Like just because you're not happy about writing doesn't mean that like there's not meditation, there's just not you can live stream it, you can vent to a camera if you want to,
Yeah.
you can put it into music, you can put it into art. There's all sorts of different ways that you can express yourself and release all that tension because the last thing that you need to do is be wound up like a soda bottle, right? Shake that
Mm-hmm.
shit up and then
Yep.
just like wait for the moment to pop out.
Explode. Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta get the tension out like little by little. So some people like myself, like I get enjoyment doing some physical fitness, right? So whether it's
Yeah.
I'm in the ring or I'm lifting or maybe sometimes I just need to grab somebody just to the side and just ask them questions. It's just
Yeah.
find your way to release all that stress because it's not good. That one moment that you explode, like that's kind of it. Like everybody's gonna be like, "Where the fuck did this come from?" And you're just like,
Yeah.
"I don't know."
And it's been brewing the whole time. Yeah. I'm actually glad you said something about arts because the last thing about the book is music has really been a part of my life since I could walk, talk, open my mouth. I've been singing since I could talk. So there's also going to be kind of a short playlist because it's a short book, but a playlist that I put together that I was really feeling at the time of writing and whatnot that people can also listen to either while they're reading or while they're writing or if not at all if they don't want to, but it'll be there. As well because sometimes you need things that kind of get you in the flow, so those songs for me they helped me with certain things, and as I was writing I realized that sometimes you don't really know what to write about per se, but as you start writing thoughts come, feelings come, and then at the end you're like, I didn't even know I felt like that, but as you're releasing and whatnot things start coming out kind of like word vomit but in written form.
Yeah, and I think that's important now is that you gotta like once you start to feel like the gag reflex, like just let it go. Just let it
Yeah.
all roll out because like at the end of the day, like you said, I know like when I was journaling and writing down stuff, like I went from me, I just start with a sentence, yo, how am I feeling today? This is what's going on. And next thing you know, like 6 pages later, I'm still writing and I'm like, why am I still writing? Like, yo, this is what I
Yeah.
want to talk about. And then you go back and read it and you're like, damn, I felt like this. And then like you wait like a couple of years and you go back and reread what you wrote and you're like, wow, I
Yeah.
was really thinking I was going through some shit. Or like I was going through some shit and now like I see the the valves that I can turn on and turn off to make myself like feel better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I've been journaling on and off for a long time, for years, and I found a couple of my journal entries when I was like 10, and I was reading them, and my mom read them too, and she was like, "Were you depressed as a kid? Was everything okay?" And I was like, this is how I felt at the time. That's what I was going through, and it's amazing to see how you evolve and change and grow without even realizing how much. And so that's another way journaling can help you too. You can see how far you've come, and sometimes you need a reminder of where you were to see that you've really grown, because sometimes you feel stagnant, like I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing anything, I haven't accomplished anything, I haven't had any personal growth, but you can look back and see like, I really have though, and that can be encouraging too.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing in life is that people need to understand that like you don't only just go from being in like just as, you're not in the same spot. Like no one's ever in the same spot ever.
Yeah.
Right? You're always looking back. But are you never some people don't ever really look back, but you're never in the same spot. So you have to look back sometimes and you gotta realize like, yo, damn, like I have gone through some things and I have made it through a lot of things and then you just see like how far you've been able to push. I know like I went through the same thing. When I got out of the military, I was like, bro, like I'm not about shit. I'm not gonna do shit. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I
Yeah.
decided I was like, let me go back to school, right? But I failed to understand that, like, yo, like I was in the military, like that's a
Yeah.
huge accomplishment. Like a lot of people, like
Exactly.
some people will be like, well, everybody can go through the military. Bet maybe, but less than 1% of the people do it, right? And that's
Yeah, and can make it.
Yeah, it's a huge growth in yourself. And then like not only that, but once I got out, like I realized like yo, like I've graduated with a college degree, I've graduated with a master's degree, like I've graduated with multiple certifications now, and I'm like, dude, like not just educationally have I grown, but I've grown as a person as well. And I think that's important is that people need to understand that like you've got to you've got to look at the journey and look at the bigger picture because sometimes you're so stuck on like what you're doing that you're forgetting that you've made a long distance.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely need that pick me up sometimes. And people see it and other people can say, oh yeah, you've done this, you've done that. But on the inside, if you don't really see it yourself, you're not really feeling like you've really done anything. So seeing your writing, your words, your actual thoughts and feelings that nobody else may have known about, that can really help.
Yeah, I think another thing a lot of people have to understand too is that like when it comes to like mental health and growth, like you can't be focused about what other people are doing because if you're focused on what like Jane or John are doing, like you're always going to compare yourself to them and you're going to be like, yo, I hate that I'm not at their level, right? Because I know
Yes.
a lot of my friends, they have these great careers, right? Where they're like, I'm a police officer, I'm a teacher, I'm this, I'm that, or I'm still in the
Mhm.
military, and it's cool. But like, I don't ever look back at them and say, "Man, I'm jealous. That could have been me." Nah, I'm
Yeah.
always like, you know what? Like, I was clearly put on to do something different, and I don't want to look at what they're doing. I'm gonna look at what I'm doing, and I want other people to be like, "Yo, damn, do you see what Cliff's doing? Because he's running his own race." But it is important to take that time to look back and be like, "Damn, look how far I came from too." So make sure, like, whenever you're doing these kind of things, right? Like, you're just focused on your journey. Don't focus about what person A or person B is doing.
Yeah, because comparing yourself can definitely be a pitfall. It's so easy to look at the people around you to make yourself feel worse about yourself because they say misery loves company and they're usually talking about somebody bringing somebody else down. But a lot of times it's us bringing ourselves down. And because we're already feeling bad, we start looking at all the other people that we envy or wish we could be, or the things that we want in ourselves that we see other people have, and we harp on that to make ourselves feel worse. When really everybody is always going to have something that somebody wants. That someone is always going to be better than you at something, whether it's a character trait or a career or what have you. But like you said, you just have to focus on yourself, focus and reflect, see where you've been, write down where you want to go, and then write down steps to make that happen. Practical things you can do, focusing on things you can change as opposed to things that you can't change.
Yeah, it's something that I talk about a lot with a lot of guys and a lot of like people that I kind of mentor on the outside. It's just like, listen, like control what you can control
Yeah.
and don't worry about the uncontrollables. It's something that you know, I listen to like a lot of like NFL coaches and when they talk and stuff like that, and they're always like, yo, when you're playing the game, like you're never worried about what the linemen are doing. You're only worried about your route. Or if you're a quarterback, you know everybody's got their jobs on the field. You're not worried about is this lineman going to protect me? You're worried about you're looking at am I going to make the right throw? And you're looking for just your job. Like and as much as I shit on them, I love the Patriots because the Patriots always talk about the Patriot way. Like just do your job. And at the end of the day, like you'll be successful. And that's very important to me. It's just like, yo, stay the course. Be happy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then you can't focus on what worked for somebody else because you can try it and see, but don't harp on it if it doesn't work for you because a lot of times what work for someone doesn't work for someone else, or you have to maybe tweak it and do certain things your way. So, yeah, definitely.
Well, I think about like there's like the levels of geniuses that people talk about like all the time, right? Where it's like,
Mhm.
some people are intellectually geniuses. They are, and that's great for them. But if you look at someone like Beethoven or like Mozart, like they weren't geniuses, but
Yeah.
they were geniuses in the musical aspect, right? So they weren't geniuses as an intelligence level. They were really good at playing instruments. And if you look at different people like a Picasso, I don't know what his intelligence level was, but I can tell you his paintings, and I don't know his paintings very well because I'm not a genius in that realm, but they look cool. And I'm sure that, other
Yeah.
people thought the same way, right? With Van Gogh, right? That dude cut his ear off to
Yeah.
like get somebody to love him, but he can paint.
But people are still talking about him all these
That's what
years
I'm saying.
later. Yeah.
and then you look at guys like, you just look at different writers, right? Whether it be like Stephen King or Ernest Hemingway, like
Mhm.
all these people were like so good at what they were doing. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I don't think Stephen King ever wrote a book and been like, damn, this isn't Moby Dick. Right.
Yeah, we all have our own lanes. We all have our own purposes, which is also something I talk about in the book, trying to having that feeling of trying to figure out what your purpose is, and you gotta find it. You gotta try different things. You gotta, like we keep saying, focus on you and not what everybody else has and what everybody else is doing. Go with
Yeah.
what's good for you. Find your own way.
That's crazy because it's like when you think about life and you think about how people like try to compare how great they've been doing, it's like, dude, like at the end of the day, like if you think that's what you need to start doing, like just write down what you're doing today and then start from there. Like, okay,
Yeah.
oh, today I did this. Yeah, tomorrow I did this, or the next day, you just focus on today, right? And you talk about what you're doing and how you're doing it, right? I think I forget who it was. I think it was like Chris Van Vliet talks about the three things that he's grateful for. So like every night before he goes to bed, he writes down three things that he's grateful for, right? And he
Mhm.
tries not to make them repeat. But that's the important thing. Like you got to be honest with yourself and just be like, hey, like I'm good where I'm at, and I'm going to continue to grow. And I think it's awesome that you like decided to write a book about like how to relate to people and make them understand like, hey, like this is what works for me. It might not work for you, but I want you to jot down the things that will work.
It was something that kind of dawned on me. I like to say it's something that God gave me because I wasn't doing anything special, and it was just like, "Hey, you should write a book," and I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then I actually was at my parents' house, got in the shower, and these ideas just started coming to me, and it was hilarious because I had a little notebook with me. So I would, every time I would get a thought, I would hop out the shower to write it down, hop back in the shower, hop out the shower to write it down, hop back in the shower, because I'm a very forgetful person and I didn't want to forget. Um, but by the time I was done, I really had the premise for my book and what I was going to do, and it kind of went on from there.
Yeah, it's weird how like those things always happen like in the strangest places. Like I know like a lot of ideas I have for wrestling, like
Mm-hmm.
all come from like just the bathroom.
Yeah. The shower is definitely my whole thinking place.
And then you're just like, and it's funny too because I know like for me, whenever I want to talk about doing like intros or promos, or even if I'm doing stuff that's related to my character, like I always have to keep like either my phone with me or I keep like a small notepad so I can just write down the ideas of whatever I was thinking about. Because you never know when they're gonna flood and hit you, and then you
Definitely.
realize like where you are in life when you're just like, damn, oh that's a great idea, and then you're like, I'll just remember it later, and then you don't.
Yeah, nope, not I. I've had three babies. My memory is gone. So I definitely have to write it down like in my phone or on a pad or something like that. But yeah.
And I
That's
know, so I've known you for a couple years now, and I've watched you personally. I've watched you grow and like change and evolve and continue to grow as the person you are. And you've been through some hardships, and you just keep pushing forward. So, what is the driving force that allows you to keep pushing forward?
well, for me, I have been a church girl in my life. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. So my faith has really helped me, but also, I guess, number one, seeing my parents push because even though, I didn't want for anything particularly, but I always saw the drive and the push. I could tell when times were hard, when finances were hard, when we were having certain issues with family and things like that. And we all know that can be a mental or physical hardship as well. So I always saw my parents pushing to do more and pushing specifically for me to be the best person that I could be. They always made sure I had the resources I had. They always made sure to put me in different programs and things to keep me busy to see what I really wanted to hone in on. So really all of that, my faith, my parents, and I don't know, I've always just been a keep going kind of girl. Like it'll all work out. What do I have to do? What's next? Kind of like when I got pregnant the first time, it was unexpected, and I was like, okay, I got the test. I'm pregnant. All right, well, what I gotta do. What's next? How do I get this going? So I've always kind of had that. I think that's been instilled in me to just pick up the pieces. I don't really have. Well, I won't say I won't have time to fall apart, but I don't have time to sit and wallow in it and be stagnant and not move. I have to figure out. I have to get up and figure out life. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things in life. Like I know, like it's always meant to hand you like it's gonna hand you a crap hand. Like sometimes you're just gonna get it,
Yeah.
but it's those people who can take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. Like it's
Yeah.
you gotta figure it out. Sometimes in life, man, it's not always bad. There's always gonna be something in there, or you're always gonna have someone that's gonna help you and support you and give you
Mm-hmm.
like the nudge in the right direction that you need to go. Like I know, like Chaz and I, like we bounce a lot of ideas off each other, especially with this podcast. But more importantly, just like in life, like I'll get a phone call and it's just like, hey man, I want to have a quick conversation. I'm like, what's going on? And vice versa, right? And I'll shoot something to him, and we're always like bouncing off and like just helping each other out. But it's kind of cool when you have that person that like things kind of like break, but you have that person that's right next to you that's like, hey, if you need anything, just reach out and like I'll help you. I'll help you build this up. And I know a lot of people don't have that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so I think one thing that I would love to like just advocate for people is just find that person, and
Definitely.
whether it's through religion and you find it through like Lord Himself, or whether you go to a counselor, right? Whether you go to a friend or a family member. Sometimes maybe not family members so much, and the reason why I say that is because they're emotionally invested in you, and
Yeah.
sometimes their views may be tainted. So you might want to find like
Nice.
an outside person.
Yeah, definitely. And to that, I would also say do the opposite of what you feel sometimes, because for me, I know that my default is to go inside myself and cut myself off from everybody and isolate myself. And it's something I'm still working through. I'm better at it than I was before, but it's absolutely not a good thing to do. Sometimes, okay, if you're going through something, say it's a confrontation with someone, and you say, okay, I need to take a minute and think about it and come back to that. That's fine. But going through life, just never talking to anybody about how you're feeling, dealing with everything on your own, it's not good. It's not healthy for you. Eventually, it's going to affect your body. Your body's going to start breaking down in different ways. Um, so, like we said, you really should find that person, and that takes trusting some people. I'm not saying you have to go full throttle the first person you meet, but test the waters a bit. Be open to it, because I know it's really easy. Like I said, for me, it's really easy to isolate myself and shut down and not talk about anybody or anything, and I'm just going to handle it myself, because that's also something that I've dealt with. Like, even though my parents have been those number one people for me since birth, but everybody else along my life, I've been let down a lot. I've been unsupported a lot. I'm that person that will be 100, 150% with you, but then when I need people, a lot of times people aren't around. I've been there. And so that causes me sometimes to instantly want to say, I'm just going to deal with it myself, because I do that anyway. But that's not always a good thing. And of course, now I have my husband, so it's a little easier for me. But if you don't have that person, I guess I would say write, like I'm talking about before, because writing is a form of release and a form of not holding things in. But just be on the lookout for little people. Sometimes it's the people that you don't expect in your life that can be that person for you.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially because, like, I know for me, one that caught me off guard, right, is I had an incident happen, and I didn't really close up because I kind of just tried to like let myself still kind of be open, but every once in a while, like I would just end up tripping up, and someone called me and was just like, "Hey, man, like I've noticed you've been kind of quiet. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on?" And I was like, "Ah, damn it, like yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be patient. This is what happened, right?" So I was kind of open about it, but the best part was being told, and as much as like you don't always want to hear this, right? Like, hey man, sometimes you just got to get over it. And it's like sometimes you don't want to hear that, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's the necessary thing to hear, and it's important. I know,
Yeah.
like especially not just through like wrestling, but in through life, right? Sometimes you just have to get over it, and like sometimes that may just take like writing. It may take just talking it out. It may take, you know, a physical activity. You may need to go punch a punching bag. I don't know. You might have to find something. Don't punch a person, right? That's number one. Right? But find your way to like kind of like release that tension that you have going on. But eventually, time will heal all wounds. But you just need to understand that you gotta let yourself have the feelings that you have, and then you gotta start pushing yourself to get over it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talk about too. Acknowledging how you feel, sit with it, feel it, don't push it to the side, because if you push it to the side and you quote unquote don't feel it, it's still in there and it's going to come out at some point. But sit with it, feel it, and then move on from it. Do what you need to do to heal from it, get over it, and whatnot. So, yeah, definitely. Something that I heard, I think I was watching a concert or something, but somebody said feelings don't have intellect. And that really struck me, and that's so true, because also sometimes what we have to do is just look at the reality of things. Sometimes you feel something and it's not really what's going on, and you really have to sit and think about it and look at it like, wait, I'm feeling like this, but this is not really what the situation is. And there's still the knowledge that you feel that way, but realizing that that's not really what it's about can also help you get over it and get through it too, work through it.
Yeah, definitely. And because like what tends to be the problem, and I'll even be honest with myself, right? When I talk about this, and someone's gonna talk about this later, but one thing that I tend to do is I tend to have a conversation with myself, pretending that I'm having a conversation with somebody else,
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
the worst thing to do.
I do this all the time, specifically in the shower, but I do this all the time. Have a whole argument with myself
Yeah.
between
And
person.
then you think you're talking to somebody, like, like, and I'm not, okay, and I'm not talking about like there's someone physically there, right? But the problem becomes like, I will have a conversation, and let's say like, we'll use my wife, right? I'm having a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with my wife. Now she's not there, but I'm answering the conversation in a way that she's talking to me, but
Yep.
she never says that. So then I don't ever approach her about a situation because I've already had the conversation in my mind, and I know how the conversation goes, and it never happens that way. So
Yep.
you have to be open and like make sure like you may get, and the conversation may flow exactly how you thought it was, or it may surprise you and flow the other way. But you have to be willing to open yourself up to have those conversations, to allow yourself to grow and to heal over things that may be bothering you.
Yeah. Number one thing that I think a lot of people, myself included, have to do is stop hiding. Stop hiding from the unknown. Stop hiding from what you think might happen because of your trauma, what you've been through before, things in your life. He said, she said, this has happened before. Even if it's with a person that has a pattern, if it's something that needs to be addressed, you still have to have the conversation, because just like you have to give yourself room to grow, you also have to give other people room to grow. So how do you allow someone to get better if you never give them the chance to? It's gonna go. So
True. It's true. It's crazy too. It's weird like how in like life, like we think we're having the we're like growing, but we're really not growing, because if you don't understand like what you're going through, you're gonna regret whatever it is that you're trying to like heal over. And it's important to have that outlet, right? So that's kind of like the one thing. So whether you're talking to someone with like Tag Me In, or I Got Your Six, or even like Mission 22, Wounded Warrior, mental health awareness, like there's all sorts of programs out there that are out there, and good outreach programs for people, right? Like just currently, right? We finally got 988, right? So if you need someone to talk to, or a mental health advocate, there you
mm-hmm.
go. 988 makes it that easy. You don't have to worry about, sorry, Logic, we love your song, but we don't have to worry about the whole damn number. You don't have to call us twice. Now it's just three numbers, right?
Yeah.
988. So definitely what we definitely advocate for though is in the mental health world, like just talk to somebody, talk to anybody, right? And just feel the way you're feeling, understand. And it's, in the words of one of my favorite movies of all time, from The Crow, right? It can't rain all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Knowing that it's at some point it's gonna get better. And I think part of what influenced me writing this is because I've always been a type of person, um, and I've always thought of weird in this way, but I like to know things about myself, more things about myself. So I am a psych major at the University of Baltimore. Currently going for my master's in counseling. That's my goal to be an LCPC, but I have my bachelor's in psychology. And so throughout that process, certain classes we've had to have mock counseling sessions with other grad students. And so in that form, I've had counseling sessions too, and I'm like just going through and talking, and I'm like, oh wait, I've just realized this about myself. Like in the session, oh wait, I've just realized this about myself. Oh, is this why I do this? This is probably why I do this. And sometimes it's just a great thing to do, even if, well, all the time it's a great thing to do. But even if they don't get a lot of words in, sometimes just talking to someone helps you realize things about yourself along the way. Talking through problems, talking through your thought processes and things, that can really help your mental health as well.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shift this over to the second best segment of the Three Count podcast. Bree, you're probably trying to figure it out. It's easy. It's the Red Dogs Power Rankings. That's the number one segment on this podcast. But this is the Three Count podcast, 10 count questions, and it works like this. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you, and whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing. And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
I don't know. John Wick.
There you go. I like it. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Favorite cartoon?
Little Mermaid.
Nice. So, is it Walmart or Target?
Target lately.
Hey, favorite actor?
Will Smith.
Android or Apple?
Apple.
Favorite podcast?
The Three Count.
Duh.
No.
Like, we don't have this thing like marketed all over this place down here, right there in the middle.
I mean, I'm married to the other guy. I can't say any other podcast. What kind of wife would I be?
All right. Well, nominate one wrestler or person that you want to see on this podcast.
Roman Reigns.
Yes. Acknowledge.
Yes. The tribal chief. Oh, before I forget, I guess I gotta throw it in there. On September 10th at 1 o'clock, I am having the launch of the book entitled You Are Not Alone. And the address is going to be 1460, that's 1460 Burger Street. And just come out. I'm going to be doing a chapter reading. I'm going to be doing a live Q&A. There's going to be light food served. We all love the food. There's going to be different vendors with different information about different ways you can relax and release and things like that. So it's going to be great.
Bet. And then for our last question, the one I love to ask every single person that comes on the show, favorite curse word?
I don't do that, though.
100%. I'm going to promise all of you, I have heard this woman curse.
I'm just talking about Cliff.
I know her favorite word. She's just not going to admit to it. But that's fine. We'll just say she doesn't curse for now. But, last thing I have for you. So remember, she already gave you the address where you guys can find her, especially in September 10th. But more importantly, Bree, let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Yes, so I have an Instagram. Let me just look up the actual ad because, sometimes I forget. And it is Briahna.Harris. It's so easy. Briahna is spelled Briahna. I know it's different. And again, that's Briahna.Harris. You can follow me on Instagram, and I'll have an author page up shortly as well.
So she gave you the handle. She also gave you the date where you can find her book. So if you need to figure it out, just rewind this back, 20 seconds, and you can listen to it then. But like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home because this is the Three Count Podcast presents Now Enter Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. Man, that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently. You can, and that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering, and you see her right there next to me, soon to be Dr. Briahna Harris. So you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there or You're following us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're commenting. You're sharing with your friends. You're also buying our merch right there where you can see it, prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast. Or you're really just waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro. And you're choosing another episode to listen to.
And you're buying the book on Amazon, which is going to be on September 10th.
There you go. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dot Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3Count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3Count Podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.